So after all that talk about what it means to be a big bad martial artist, Suiryu still has to have his ass saved by Saitama. Another awesome episode of One Punch Man. Awesome in the sense that the story is still pretty incredibly awesome, being both really funny and also just a great parody of shonen battle manga, but also kind of disappointing in some senses because, again, the action leaves a lot to be desired. I hate harping on the fact that the first season of One Punch Man looked so damn good, but wow, they are just taking a lot of shortcuts in this season. Despite that, this was still a pretty exciting episode in that we got to see a lot of heroes battling against monsters, and really, that's what One Punch Man is all about. This entire episode sort of wraps up the entire super fight tournament where it seems like Saitama has skipped town and Suiryu is going to get his trophy, and he's going to move into his brand new easy life of swooning the ladies and being known as a big celebrity hero. The thing is, however, all of this immediately gets crumbled to the ground when all of these monsters start to attack, in particular Gouketsu, who's a character that they've been building up for a couple of episodes now. This is the monster that took down Genos, a Class S hero, so we have to assume that he is incredibly powerful, and we get to learn that Gouketsu actually is a former champion of the Super Fight Tournament, and at some point he was actually captured by Lord Orochi, and he was presented with an option: die or become one of us. He was given one of those monster cells, and that's what turned him into the monster that he is today. And aside from being giant and super intimidating, his main goal is to go around and find really strong people that he can transform into various monsters. And that's pretty much the ultimatum that he gives all of the remaining participants of the Super Fight Tournament. Eat this weird squishy little monster ball, or I'm gonna shish kebab your ass. And believe it or not, about half of the people actually decide to go along with this plan. One of them being that really weird, super creepy fighter who goes by the name of Chose, who eats one of these things and basically transforms into the freaking devil. And he looks really powerful and intimidating, but this is basically the perfect opportunity for Suiryu to show what he's truly capable of. I mean, throughout the entire Super Fight Tournament, he pretty much one-upped everyone aside from Saitama, and in that sense, it was kind of disappointing. But now, we finally get to see him in action, and for the most part, Suiryu was pretty awesome in the way that he was able to take out all of these monsters. That is until he got to Gouketsu himself. Gouketsu is definitely one of the strongest enemies that we've seen from the season, and so far we've seen no one who can actually go toe-to-toe with him. We can assume that Saitama would probably clean his clock, but that seems to be the case for pretty much every monster that he runs into. But again, this is another one of those arcs that gives us an excuse to see all of those side characters and side heroes and see all of the struggles that they go through when they battle against these monsters. And Gouketsu is certainly going to be one hell of an opponent for everyone, as he just beats the ever-living shit out of Suiryu. And I have to say, the way that he does it is actually pretty damned cool. It's a shame because I really wanted to see Suiryu actually pull out some really cool attacks and really demonstrate why he's such a really good and competent fighter, but for the most part, this episode just reaffirmed the fact that he is just a very overly arrogant douchebag. The scene where Gouketsu picks him up and basically just destroys his body by flicking him with his finger, I have to say was one of the more demeaning moments for the character. And after being beaten by Saitama, you can imagine that his pride is absolutely just melting in his pants. But then we get to see the return of Snek and Max, which is a really fitting scene, as they were two opponents that were defeated by Suiryu, and he was the character that actually told them that being a hero is basically pointless, especially for weaklings like them. However, they finally got to show that in their certain battle attire, they're actually much stronger. And I have to say that this was a really great moment of watching the characters team up. I was kind of hoping that their battle against these three crow monsters would be a little more explosive. Speaking of these three crow monsters, apparently these are former disciples of Gouketsu himself, who also ate these monster cells, and there's only a select few of people that when they eat these things, they actually manage to have a semblance of sanity or of their own self. If they lose themselves to the power of the monster cells, they essentially just become rampaging beasts who end up becoming basically the putty patrol of whoever's the villain that time. While they are able to defeat the crows in a pretty swift manner, Snek and Max are immediately defeated by Gouketsu. Not only that, but we also also got to see the return of Bakuzan, another character that I was really excited to see, as at the very beginning of Super Fight, they were sort of building him up to be another, sort of wild card type of character, and wild card he is indeed, as he reveals his true nature. Essentially, Bakuzan is kind of a psychopath, and sort of has an obsession with beating up weaklings, and now that he has the opportunity to become a monster, he is not going to let that go, so he consumes multiple monster cells, which initially seem like they actually end up killing him, before he transforms into a massive dragon-class monster. He's a villain at this point who doesn't want to work with other villains. He even wants to try and attack Gouketsu himself, but he ends up making a fool of himself. What he does do, however, is he beats the crap out of Suiryu. At this point, he just dwarfs him in pretty much every way possible. At this point, the monsters all around the cities are gaining new allies and getting ready to make a big retreat. It's all a part of their plan to cause a lot of chaos and fear, kidnapping one of the executives of the big hero organization, as well as getting ready to enact the next big part of their plan. But as that's all going down and all the other monsters are returning, Bakuzan decides that he's going to stay behind and finish off Suiryu. And this is where Suiryu finally starts to show a little bit of his vulnerability. He realizes that he's pretty much screwed at this point, and the only way he's going to be saved, reluctantly, is he's going to have to ask for the help of some heroes. Snek and Max's asses aren't getting up, so it only makes sense that Saitama would return to save the day. And he does at the very end of the episode, and man, Gouketsu is just so fucked. So what's the rundown on this episode of One Punch Man? Another really exciting episode which is unfortunately harmed by its animation. Like I said, this is a series which is built upon the foundation of its action scenes, and when they cut corners and they don't end up looking as good, it can be kind of disappointing. There were a few moments in this episode where the artwork and the animation was actually pretty solid, but for the most part, I hate to say, but a lot of the action in this episode was painfully average. I think the thing that's completely saving One Punch Man, however, has got to be its story as well as its character design. Nearly every single character is distinctive in their own right, and they're really fun to see. I especially love when we go outside of the Super Fight tournament and we get to see all of the other things that are actually going on in the city. I especially love the one scene going on back at the hospital as Moomin Rider is desperately trying to protect all the patients from some sort of giant blowfish monster, only for that creature to get freaking linebackered by the tank top master himself, which is really satisfying, and it's great to finally see him back in action. And again, Moomin Rider's a great character because he's not really powerful, but he still manages to never get up. He's the type of character that could teach Suiryu a thing or two about what it truly means to be a hero. However, I think that Suiryu is about to be getting a big dose of humility as he's about to be saved by Saitama. This could open up a big door for him for the future to have the potential to actually become a hero when he ultimately is probably going to witness Saitama opening up a can of fuck shit up all over on Gouketsu, which I think is going to be really awesome to see. But for the most part, this again, yes, was another continuation of the previous episodes of heroes and martial artists fighting against monsters, it looking good sometimes, it looking bad most of the times. That being said, however, like I said, I still think that the story is still a lot of fun, especially when you turn off your brain and just take it for what it is. The unfortunate truth is, however, it's just getting kind of average at this point in terms of its action. I really hope that JC Staff is going to turn it up a little bit when we get closer to the end of the season, because so far its action is just not blowing me away, but it's still being completely saved by its characters and its story, and of course the amazing world of One Punch Man itself. And again, the series always manages to have this self-awareness and great sense of humor about everything, so yeah, that still makes it worth checking out. But if you were looking forward to the season to see the action, just forget it. It's not happening. It's over. I don't think there's any turning back the clock at this point. And with that, I reluctantly have to give this episode a 3 out of 5, just an average episode of One Punch Man. Now remember, an average is not necessarily a bad score. A 3 out of 5 is not bad. It just has a couple of flaws which are holding it back, but otherwise is completely watchable, and definitely an episode that any One Punch Man fan should check out. So there it is. anyways, that's my thoughts on the episode. Make sure to give me yours in the comment section below. If you had any favorite moments from this episode, any favorite monster battles, who's your favorite hero who appeared in this episode? What did you think of Suiryu's fighting style? And is Saitama going to lose to Gouketsu? Come on, we know he's not. What do you want to see in that upcoming battle in the future of the second season of One Punch Man? Thank you all for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more anime and topic videos. And aside from watching my videos and liking them and sharing them with your friends, one of the best ways to help support my channel would be to check out our PayPal and Patreon account. Cool thing about my Patreon is that if any of you guys actually donate $10 or more, I will review an anime series of your choice. Yes, the power is in your hands. Not only would you get an anime review that you want to see, but you'd be doing a great service by helping to support this channel. But again, the best way to help is simply just to watch these videos. So, with that, I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.